Today I will tell you about MicroStrategy stocks and what's happening with them. I'll show you this through options. We'll also touch on volatility, which is starting to rise, including implied volatility and historical volatility. I'll definitely show you the strategies that artificial intelligence is constructing for us. I'll also show you the market forecast for this company. I'll tell you right away that the market is predicting a decrease in this stock. We'll also look at 3D volatility. We'll definitely touch on the news. I'll tell you that selling these stocks and what consequences this may lead to in the future. As usual, I'll show you a strategy on which you can profit from both upward and downward price movement. Let's begin. From the very beginning of MicroStrategy stocks, what's happening with us? I remind you that over the past few months, the company has grown by 300%, which was associated with the rise of cryptocurrencies. I remind you that this company has just over 200,000 Bitcoins on its balance sheet, and due to the rise in cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, MicroStrategy has also grown significantly. I always apply correlation. This is the correlation between this company and Bitcoin. And as we can see, these two assets move with correlation. Almost 100% yes, there are cases where correlation disappears. We had this at the beginning of 2021, but again, in my view, as we can see, MicroStrategy stock has grown much faster and larger than Bitcoin itself. In my opinion, this will eventually lead to a reversal in price movement. That is, the correlation will establish itself. But first, I'll show you the volatility and what the market tells us about pricing in the first volatility. Of course, it's very high. Volatility reaches up to 120% for some strikes, starting from 100%. This is also related to the report that will be released at the end of April. Remember that volatility always increases during reports, and we observe that here as well. I'm showing all of this to help form a solid strategy in the future. Let's look at the volatility smile. As we can see, the volatility smile is flat, both in the direction of decrease and increase. This is rare because usually the volatility smile is more inclined towards put options. Currently, volatility is flat because the stock is more influenced by cryptocurrencies, which of course distorts the situation a bit. Let's also take a look at historical and implied volatility. The white line represents implied volatility, while the gray line represents historical volatility. As we can see, both implied and historical volatilities are significantly higher than their historical values, which tells us something important. I always say that one should trade not the asset itself, not the stock, but rather trade volatility because absolutely nobody knows where the stock will go. The stock may start rising, the stock may fall, it's uncertain. But when it comes to volatility, it's a completely different situation because volatility always reverts to its historical values. As we can see, there's currently a large gap around 23%, indicating that volatility will drop to 30%, and one can profit from this. Someone might ask, how do you profit from volatility movement? I'll tell you, to profit from volatility, you naturally need to use options and derivatives. Currently, we have a lot of assistance, including artificial intelligence, which will help us devise a strategy. Let me show you how this can be done. We select the desired expiration date, choose the volatility, set it to drop to 30%, and artificial intelligence helps us. As we can see, some strategies close with a 100% probability of profit, which you'll never see anywhere else. It's quite significant. Let's see what's being offered to us. As we can see, we're being offered to sell two options, with May expiration, a put with a strike price of 1,280 and a call with a strike price of 1,290. We can earn $35,000 from this. Also, there are other strategies. For example, they offer us to buy a call, sell two calls with a strike price of $1,310 each and buy a call with a strike price of $1,660. The expiration is in May. Again, I strongly advise against opening these strategies. I'm simply showing what artificial intelligence and options are capable of. We have many assistants. In reality, you need to understand the logic here. If you learn to understand the logic, delve deeply into understanding and analyzing the options in stock market, everything becomes much simpler, especially with volatility because nobody knows where the stock will go, but where volatility will go is a different story. Again, it can be predicted based on historical values, which is a crucial point. We'll come back to this a bit later. Also, I want to show you the options trading volume. As we can see, we have a very large volume open at the $1,300 level, as well as at $1,500 and $1,350 levels concerning call options. For put options, we have a very large volume at $1,000 and $1,250 levels. So these are key levels, especially $1,250. Here we have a huge wall of options, and as we can see, for the second time, we're approaching this price almost today. We practically dipped below this level, but we haven't been able to close below it yet. To overcome this level, we need to overcome this huge wall of options. Also, I'm showing you at the level. All technical analysts usually draw things like moving averages, Bollinger Bands, or something else. Still, I want to show you what the market actually thinks, where the options are headed, and where the smart money is looking. You can take this information absolutely for free, watch and analyze the market. Also, I want to show you the distribution of option prices. Here we have it showing what the market thinks about this stock, and as we can see, the highest percentage is at the $1,100 level, that is, from $1,000 to $200. As we can see, the curve distributes like this. What does this say? The market implies that the stock is more likely to be priced at $1,000 than, for example, $1,400. We can simply see this on this curve. What could this indicate? Look, I always tell you, I don't know where the stock will go. I can't predict the market. and I believe anyone who says they know where the stock will go is lying to you. So how do you make money? Based on sound position management, based on sound portfolio management. You must structure your positions so that they work according to mathematics and mathematical expectations. Again, if you work according to mathematical expectations, you will make money. How can this work? But look, if the market predicts a higher probability of a decline, and you think the stock will rise, for example, to $2,000, again, why argue with the market? Yes, of course, you can argue with the market and say that the stock will be worth $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, but the market is implying a completely different situation, my friends. If the market is clearly telling you, sending a signal where the stock might go, why argue with the market and go against it, my friends? You came to make money, you just need to act as the market does. And that's it. That's the main secret of success. You simply need to work together with the market, build strategies that will correspond to mathematical expectations and probability theory again. According to probability theory, mathematical expectations, now is not the time to buy. Again, I'm not saying the stock can't grow. Yes, of course, it can bounce back to $1,500 to $1,600. But again, in terms of risk-reward ratio, it's not on your side. That's the most important thing to again. I've already said that if Bitcoin is around $100,000, I assume the stock could rise to $3,000 and even higher. But I don't believe Bitcoin will grow to $100,000 in the near future. I assume Bitcoin is more likely to fall than rise. Again, I'm not betting on this. By no means is this an investment recommendation, my friends. I'm not saying you should sell these stocks or even go short. No, I'm just saying that, according to probability theory. Let's also look at the 3D volatility. Here we have all the information concentrated on dates and expirations on strikes, and they show how to build a sound strategy that professionals can understand right away. And I immediately switch to showing the strategy. Look at how the efficiency profile will look if the price rises, for example, to $1,600, we'll get $50,000. If the price falls to $1,000, we'll get $43,000. You see, we earn in any case, no matter which way the stock goes. Yes, we might lose if the stock starts to rise or fall very quickly. But again, there's no such thing as a completely risk-free strategy here. But under no circumstances should you open this position. You'll definitely lose money because these are uncovered options being sold. This position needs management. You need to buy options at the right moment. Hedge options, sell options. It's a very complex position. It needs to be diversified. I need to buy the underlying asset, sell the underlying asset. I'm showing all this solely for you to understand how I trade, what my analysis is based on. My task is to shape the position and portfolio so that no matter which way the stock moves, we profit. This is an example of how it can be done. Now let's switch to the news. There has been active selling going on for a while now, starting from March. The CEO selling a lot of shares is definitely not a good sign. And as we see Michael Saylor selling so many shares, when the stock rose and he started selling, and also when his options are being executed, that's important too. He keeps selling and selling, a signal for investors that such big players are exiting this stock. Again, everything indicates that the stock might continue to fall, and it could fall significantly. This is also indicated by Bitcoin circulation and the fact that the stock has diverged significantly, and he was selling at that moment when someone was buying these stocks, and of course at the moment he is losing money. But again, if you've watched my previous videos, I've already warned you about this, that the stock does not match the risk and reward. You could lose money on this. In principle, this is what's happening now, and I fully acknowledge that the stock could fall to $500 and $400. But again, this is by no means an encouragement to act. Let's also take a look at Bitcoin. But Bitcoin's correction hasn't really started yet. It's only fallen by 10%, while Microstrategy has already fallen by 38%. And as we understand, if Bitcoin suddenly starts to fall significantly, this stock could also fall very sharply. Also, I want to remind you that the biggest risk for this stock is the weekends because cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, trade on weekends. If there's a significant drop, for example, by 10% or 20% on a Saturday, and then the stock could also fall, for example, by 30% or even 50% on Monday morning, and you won't have time to do so, my friends. I'm always against using credit funds, using leverage. If you have leverage, I wouldn't recommend anyone to trade or invest with leverage because it can end very badly at some point. My friends, I advise everyone to act wisely, manage positions prudently, not to risk too much. Yes, you may earn less, but the most important thing is not to lose money. I'm being as honest with you as possible, as open as possible. I have no bias, so this risk cannot be forgotten. It's really significant because anything can happen on weekends, and you'll regret it on Monday, and you could practically lose all your money. It's very dangerous, and I'm warning you that this could happen. Also, I want to remind you that when I get monetization on YouTube, I will open a completely new account, a new portfolio, where I will fund with monetization. All the money from the channels will go to this account, and I will build and manage the portfolio completely from scratch. We will invest. I will show you which stocks I buy, which I sell, what positions I use for hedging. There will be a lot of education. We will definitely outperform any index. I will show you how to really build and manage positions prudently. Don't miss the beginning of this legendary experiment. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Returning to stocks, a month ago I launched a poll on what would happen to the stocks in a month. We can now summarize the results. The majority voted that the stocks would be worth $1,500, and they weren't wrong, because at some point the stocks did reach and even surpass such values. However, due to the high volatility here, it's challenging to predict accurately where it will be. I've also launched a new poll, so be sure to vote on where you think the stock will be in a month, and as usual, we'll summarize the result. I also recommend watching my previous video about this stock where I detailed the strategy, positions, and my opinion on its price movement potential. My opinion on this stock remains unchanged. Good luck to everyone.